But first we want to introduce you to a most unusual man. His name is Ashrita Furman, and although his talents are as odd as his name, he holds more world records than anyone alive. Our Bernard Goldberg explains.
This man, who you almost certainly never heard of and never saw before in your life, holds more world records than Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, Tiger Woods, and Roger Federer combined, which means Ashrita Furman, a 55-year-old health food store manager from Queens, New York, just may be the world's greatest athlete. Or not. How many world records do you hold?
Okay, right at this exact moment, I have 92 records.
92 world records.
Right. You know, you get to a point where you're doing stuff you can never dream that you could do. You know, you're doing stuff that you thought was impossible.
What kind of stuff? How about running the world's fastest mile with a milk bottle on your head, 7 minutes, 47 seconds? Or juggling the longest, upside down? Or hula hooping with the world's biggest hula hoop? His records range from the merely ridiculous, like riding a unicycle backwards for 53 miles, to the completely ridiculous. You hold the world record for yodeling?
Yodeling, yeah. And I had no idea how to yodel. I'm a terrible singer, but I got some tapes. I learned how to do it. I'll give you a demonstration, okay?
Okay. So you did that for 27 hours.
Yeah, it was really tough. The hardest part about it was really finding witnesses who were willing to listen to me. Truthfully. In the end, I finally had to give up because no one else wanted to listen to me.
Over the last 30 years, he's broken records all over the world. He pogo-sticked up one of the world's tallest structures in Toronto, 1,899 steps in less than an hour.
57:45. Wow, that's fantastic.
Balanced milk crates at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Bounced along the Great Wall of China for a mile in just over 15 minutes. And balanced a pool cue on his finger for 7 miles at the ancient pyramids in Egypt. Oh yeah, and then there was the time he went to Mongolia to break the record for the fastest mile in a potato sack, racing against the yak. How'd the yak do, just generally?
The yak did terribly. I mean, you know, they were making this big deal. All the, you know, the locals were betting on the yak. But the thing is, I actually burnt the yak out. They had to get a replacement yak to fill in for the first yak.
What happened to the yak?
The first yak got too tired?
Yeah, can you believe it?
I'm not sure I believe any of this. But the first yak got tired?
Yeah.
And had to quit?
He had to pull out, yeah.
You can make the case that Ashrita is just one big fun-loving kid, but you'd only be half right. Skipping is something kids do for fun. Skipping 3 miles while holding a tiger on a leash, not what kids do for fun. Jumping on a pogo stick. Kids do that for fun, but they don't do it underwater in the Amazon River. He kept this up for 3 hours and 40 minutes.
At one point, I got stuck in the clay. It was very like gooey at the bottom, and my friends thought I was being attacked, so they started trying to reel me in, and I was, you know, trying to
attacked by piranhas.
Correct. Yeah. But it all worked out good.
You should always expect the unexpected with Ashrita Furman.
Stuart Claxton is the top judge for the Guinness Book of World Records. How does he fit into the odd category?
Well, I think Ashrita's probably the very first person to say that it's all incredibly odd, and everything he does is incredibly kind of off the wall. I mean, Guinness World Records receives 50,000 inquiries every year from all over the globe, and indeed, they go from the sublime to the ridiculous.
He grew up Keith Furman, junior high class valedictorian, an avid reader, obsessed, he says, with one book in particular. He still lives in the old neighborhood and practices on his old high school track for upcoming events. And despite all his world records, he wasn't exactly a jock in high school.
You know what? I was like the biggest world-class nerd ever. Seriously, I was such a nerd. Like, so unathletic, I got beat up on my first day of high school. I'm not kidding. I was walking down the street, and some kids jumped on me and beat me up.
That was then. Now he's the one doing the jumping and beating. The next closest Guinness World Record holder has about half as many records as Furman. Still, even the greats sometimes fall short. You tried to set a record.
Yeah.
for underwater juggling
Yeah. Yeah.
in a shark tank.
Yeah. I mean, I was careful about it. I mean,
Well, what do you mean you're careful about
Well,
it?
this was in Malaysia. It was in Kuala Lumpur. And no, I spoke to the curator of the aquarium, and he said, okay, look, we're going to have divers down there, and we can guarantee you that, you know, if the shark attacks, we'll get you out alive. You know, so to me, that was good enough. You know, as long as I knew I can get out alive, that was fine.
But you didn't set the record.
I was really close. And this shark comes by, and he actually knocks right into me. And I saw him coming, and I tried to keep juggling, but he actually knocked the balls right out of my hand. I mean, I just couldn't keep going.
So why does he do it? Why does he juggle in a shark tank or skip with a tiger or race a yak in the desert? Because he's nuts? Ashrita says no. The yodeling, the somersaulting, the pogo sticking, he says, are all ways to achieve, are you ready for this? Spiritual enlightenment.
This is a spiritual quest. I'm trying to become like a more open, more illumined, more perfect person. And
pogo sticking with
that's my way.
His way began when Furman was still in high school and discovered an East Indian guru living in his neighborhood named Sri Chinmoy, who introduced him to transcendental meditation. Part of the group's philosophy is enlightenment through extreme physical activity. Furman's first real test as a disciple was a 24-hour bike race.
As the miles kept going on, I would just use the different meditation techniques that I had learned, like chanting, visualization. And by the end of the race, 24 hours later, I did 405 miles, and I tied for third place